Okay, just wanted to refresh that. So what we're looking at, yeah, that's what I thought. I will log in here real quickly. So now we're back to the familiar look and feel, right? Now we're all home again. You know, all the Salesforce administrators are, you know, a little bit more comfortable in their chairs. This is the typical tab metaphor that we all know and love. It's very functional, works very well for these employee-facing situations. So what you see across the top are our custom objects that we've created for our application. And we've got dashboards. We can take a look at a little bit of sales history and things like that. So all these features, right, that you saw us being able to build earlier were used to build objects, and our dashboard here, we can continue to extend that with workflows and data validations and all sorts of things that are particular to your environment, point and click manner that we saw earlier. So we had a couple of things we wanted to do. Let's get those done. So here's this Bionic Commando bonus, and that's an editor's pick. So let me remove that. And I am sure. And I'm going to create a new pick. I happen to know that there is a game out there that's a little bit more family friendly, and it's called Little Big Planet. I'm sure all of you know it. And this is an editor's pick, a feature of Salesforce here, an object or custom field that we created. I'm going to save that. I'm going to go over to the Game Craze products. I'm going to open up the Skate 2 product. See here, this is behind the scenes. This is, our images pointing to the resources sitting on Salesforce for our images, basic product data. And I'm going to go into the description. I'm going to edit that. And I'm going to use my best marketing capabilities and say this is a really great game. This, my friends, will send sales through the roof. So if I go back over to the app, do a quick refresh. Yeah. Okay, so I can see here, this is really a great game, and I can see that I've changed to Little Big Planet, and that's my new editor's pick, right? So now we can manage the content of the application using, the same kind of tools that we saw before. So that is it for the demo portion. If we could go back to the slides, that would be great. Okay, so for the geeky portion of this process, I know a lot of you folks are not developers, but the things that you sort of want to take away from this is, if we're looking at a screen here with model, view, and controller. And we haven't talked about that a lot so far, but what's important about this is the model, view, controller paradigm for programming is a very, very common way of approaching application development on the web. And so our folks with their J2EE backgrounds were able to look at this, and when we said it's an MVC kind of programming way, they all went, oh great, I know how to do that, right? So it really sunk in with them. And in terms of using the other tools that we have, we see that the objects and the Apex classes that we saw on the customer portal, but we also see other things that we're accustomed to using in our other development, like Ajax, Flash, we talked about, JavaScript, cascading style sheets, all these other technologies that we already know. We can now use and reuse those techniques on this platform. It was a pretty straightforward process to take these guys and retrain them. So as you go back into your organization, you might get some questions of, could we figure this out? And the answer is it's pretty straightforward. So I'm going to take and now go back into the demo, please. And I'm going to go into the setup. Actually, I'm going to do that from here. And I'm going to show you a few things that are going on behind the scenes here. Not too much. We're not going to get too detailed. But you can see the Sites tab. So we can see that we're able to, very similar look kinds of screens and how we did some of the other construction work that we did in creating our application before. Very similar here. Very point and click process. So the act of creating this new site gave us a lot of capabilities, really just right off the bat. We can name it, we can describe its URL, we can talk about how we're going to handle authentication, go into a little bit of that later. we can here establish what particular pages are associated with this site, which is kind of a security process, right? So you could have a bunch of Visualforce pages out there that you use for your own applications or different sites. And so you can really narrow in on what somebody can reach from this site by placing them here. And then there's a lot of things going on down in here about error pages. So the great thing is that when we just enable the site and create the site, we're getting various pre-made pages for the authorization required that we saw earlier, maintenance pages, page not found. So we get these templates, and they're sort of already integrated into the platform, and all we have to do is just sort of customize them for a look and feel, or leave them the same if it works for you. So that works out pretty well for us. We can go up to the top again and take a look at login. Like we said before, or I'm going to go to login settings. Like we said before, we are using authentication via the partner portal, or via the customer portal. This hotel is a little less than snappy. So all we have to do to manage that unauthenticated to authenticated process is say that we want to enable authentication and we want to use customer portal and identify the customer portal that we want to use. All right, so very straightforward process, very integrated. So anybody that's ever been through the process of creating these websites, it can take you a month just to get all the security processes and all the tools up, working together correctly. And we did this with just a few point and clicks, right? And so what this enables us to do is really focus narrowly on that customer experience that we wanted to create, right? So in doing this in a week, how do you deliver something like this in a week? We could narrow in on that customer experience on the pages that we wanted to create with the sizzle that we wanted to create, knowing that the security model, the database, all the servers, all that infrastructure was already there for us, right? And already sort of pre-integrated. So it was a tremendous time saver from our process. So I think that's really it from a behind-the-scenes standpoint.
Great.
So
why don't we have you back up for a Q&A session in just a minute.
Great.
I'm going to do a couple. Oh, sorry. Did you want to?
Now, if we could just flip back to the slides, and I will clicky.
Yes.
So, we're here. We're outside. There's a lot of great work going on here. You might have questions. If you want to stop by and ask a little bit more about what we did, about how it kind of fits together and what kind of timing we've achieved, feel free to drop by. We'd love to answer any of your questions.
Great.
Thanks,
Great.
Ed.
Well, thanks, Craig. I really
sure,
appreciate it.
Absolutely.